Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Tuesday means it's Type 2 or Standard Tuesday, and we have a really interesting Hour of Devastation influence list to check out today. This is blue-red Riddleform, pretty much a blue-red Prowess deck that's taking advantage of Riddleform as another really big evasive threat. So this one comes to us from Levi Basham, who took it to a top 64 finish at last weekend's SCG Standard Open, so congrats to Levi on a super sweet deck. A quick reminder before we break down blue-red Riddleform for Standard, we're doing a giveaway for a booster box of Hour of Devastation worldwide, so make sure to check that out down below. Follow the link in the description. You can get signed up for that. Good luck to everyone. Alright, so let's talk blue-red Riddleform, and kind of the creature base of this deck is Prowess creatures, with Riddleform kind of being an honorary Prowess creature. So what this deck really wants to do is slam down Soulscar Mage, Stormchaser Mage, and Riddleform over the first couple turns, and then play a lot of spells. Some spells specifically just to pump up our Prowess creatures, and also turn our Riddleform into a creature. Also some burn spells for each. So Soulscar Mage, just the kind of updated version of Monastery Swiftspear, loses a haste, gains an ability that's somewhat relevant. I haven't seen it come up too often, but you can theoretically send a Incendiary Flow with a Thought-Knot Seer to make it a 1/1 or something like that. Making the damage stick can have an upside, but for the most part, it's just an aggressive 1-drop that can get really big and hard to block thanks to all the spells we have in the deck. Stormchaser Mage, another aggressive threat, comes down on turn 2 with haste and gets bigger whenever we cast a spell. And then Riddleform is kind of like the backup Stormchaser Mage, except even better in a lot of ways. We have so many spells, we should always have one in hand to turn on our Riddleform, and then we get a 3/3 flyer, which is actually a really reasonable threat. It takes 2 spells to get Stormchaser Mage up to 3 power, only 1 spell for Riddleform, and then if the game goes long, the Scry ability is somewhat relevant. Put useless lands to the bottom, make sure we find more spells to turn on our Riddleform. So this is kind of the creature base that lets us hopefully get a really aggressive start and take over the game. So what spells are we casting to turn on our creatures and pump up our creatures? We do have a bunch of burn spells, which are important because they kind of do double duty. They can take care of creatures if we need them to, but ideally we're shocking our opponent's face for 2 damage, which also pumps our Soulscar Mage, our Stormchaser Mage for a couple more damage, turning on our Riddleform for 3 more damage. So the damage dealt by Shock and Incendiary Flow is really magnified in this deck thanks to all of our Prowess triggers, thanks to turning Riddleform into a creature. And then Collective Defiance, it can do a little bit of everything. I assume most of the time it's kind of like a 4-mana Searing Blaze type effect, where we kill a creature, also 3 our opponent. But if our hand's really bad and we got a bunch of lands, we can kind of windfall them or wheel them away as well. And then we have a couple of spells which are to deal more damage with our creatures. Crash Through, really interesting in this deck. It gives our stuff trample, which means it's going to be hard for our opponent to jump block with Selfless Spirits, with random flyers that show up in the format. Plus, it's just 1 mana, turn on our Riddleform, pump up our Stormchaser Mages and other Prowess creatures, and we draw a card out of it. So for 1 mana, that's a great deal. And then we have a single Insult to Injury, which is kind of like a hedge finisher. If we have a couple of our Riddleforms out, our Stormchaser Mage, it can equal a lot of damage because we're doubling all that damage and we're getting the Prowess triggers. So a pretty sweet way to just kill our opponent out of nowhere. We also have Unsummon. Triggers our Prowess creatures while also getting a blocker or an annoying attacker out of the way. And then we have a couple more card advantage generating finishers. So Fevered Vision, just make sure we don't run out of action. We stick a Fevered Visions, it's probably pinging our opponent for a couple of damage, and it's making sure that we have those spells, our Crash Throughs, our Incendiary Flows, to keep turning on and pumping our Prowess creatures. And then Chandra is kind of like a backup Fevered Visions. If you think about it, Chandra kind of does the same thing. It sits out, it can deal 2 damage, also generates card advantage every turn, can kill a creature. So these are kind of our ways to make sure that our hand's always full, which is really important because all of our creatures don't really do much unless we have spells. So making sure we always have spells to cast is really essential for this deck to be successful. As far as the mana base, we get pretty much all the blue-red duals in Standard and some basic lands. In the sideboard, we get some counters to protect our stuff, deal with control decks and so forth that our opponent might be playing. Weaver of Lightning, Sweltering Suns, and Abrade is kind of our aggro package. Weaver of Lightning, so good against like blue-white Monument. It blocks everything, randomly kills some stuff with its pseudo Prowess trigger. Sweltering Suns as a Wrath, and Abrade, awesome as a sideboard card. I mean, it's great as a main deck card as well, but the ability to have one card in the sideboard that can be a deal with, let's say, Whiny Constrictor from Black-Green Energy, and also be our deal with Heart of Kirin from Mardu Vehicles, is very beneficial for sideboards, because you don't have to waste extra slots. Instead of playing Harness Lightnings and playing an Artifact Destruction spell, we can get by with just playing Abrade, which does both things in both matchups. Just so good as a sideboard card. Baral's Expertise refused to cooperate in Byforce. A little bit strange. I especially refused to cooperate. Not really sure what the plan is. I mean, it is 2 spells. You can cast the front half, trigger Prowess, turn on Riddleform, eventually cast the back half from the graveyard, do the same thing. But I don't know if that's the best use of sideboard slots. I guess if people are still playing Ulamogs and Ramp is a thing, it's pretty sweet to 10 your opponent when they cast their Ulamog. Brawl's Expertise, a little bit of defense, and Byforce for more artifact destruction. And that is blue-red Riddleform for Standard, and that's our instant deck tech for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.